Hi everybody, I'm Al Stroud. In an earlier section on screen operations, we talked about all of the things you can do on your screen, moving around icons, creating new screens, getting the right screens on the face of your phone, and that kind of thing. This segment is just a little different. We're going to talk about all those other screens that iPhone has created for us to help us work a little better. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch us over to a place where you can see my screen. Okay, now that you can see my screen, I'm going to just start by telling you, of course, we have the main screen here, the home screen, and all of those additional screens that we created, which we've talked about. So the first one I'm going to show you in addition to that is one that really bothered me when I first, that I wish I had known about, and it bothered me not knowing about it when I first started using an iPhone. I kept getting notifications and I got to wondering, well, they're only there for a few seconds or so. So how do I know what I've been notified about later on? Well, it turns out Apple took care of us. They created a notification screen. And on the phones that I first started with that had a power button, I just could swipe down from the top. On the ones that don't have a power button, like my iPhone 13, you have to start swiping down from the top left of your screen. So you go up next to the notch and just swipe down, and you should get a notification center that looks something like this. It'll have a series of events. It'll usually start with anything that is current. Apparently, I don't have any current ones. So underneath that, there are a series of other ones. Um, and in each of these, you can see in some of them, they have like a little line underneath that, sort of a shadow screen behind the first one, while others don't. And what that means is you have more than one notification. And except for the current day, these are always by app. So I know that from my calendar app, I have a couple of notifications. So I'm just going to tap right in the center of that one. And you see now I have a couple of notifications on my calendar. If I want to get rid of those and delete them, I can just touch the little X up here and it will put the word clear on there, and I can get rid of both of those by just touching the word clear, and they're gone. So these are not anything permanent. They're just notifications of something that has gone on. And if I have a single one, as I have in this one, just one item, I don't see any little shadows underneath it. I'm just going to put my finger on the right hand side and slide to the left, and you'll see it does put up something that says clear and it says options. So I have a clear and I have options. Options just lets you do things like muted for an hour, muted for today, view the settings or turn it off. So we don't need to do any of those things. And if I want to get rid of it, I can pull it to the left and hit the clear, or I can do like I accidentally did on that first one and just slide it all the way off. Again, this next one, you can see it has the little shadows underneath it. So I'm going to touch it and it then gives me all of the ones I had from that app. And you can see when they happen, Wednesday, Friday, so forth. Just a way of doing it. And I can show less. If I want to keep them, not delete them or anything, I can just use the little show less sign and they're there. So at any rate, a lot of different notifications uh, can be seen. Just go to your notification screen. And again, on a phone without a button, you just do from the top left down. And if you have a button on your phone, you should be able to just swipe down anywhere from the top. You see that. So, and the next one I'm going to show you is called the Today screen. And I start on that by putting my finger here on the left-hand side, just right at the edge of the screen and sliding to the right. So I'm going one screen to the left of my home screen. So this shows a search bar at the top and then a series of widgets. a lot like the widgets you have seen if you watched my earlier one on screen operations. Uh, you can see it has just a variety of widgets. They are all from different apps, giving me a quick view of whatever it is I want to see. So again, I sort of start with the same two that I had on my main screen. Before they let me put apps on my main screen, I always kept them here because I could just flick to the left and get the two pieces of information that I now get on my main screen because I can have widgets there. And then I have a few others, just the top stories from news, so I can look at it a little bit on a mapping program, just a variety of things. If you have an interest in this, you can go all the way to the bottom of that screen and you can see that it says edit. When I edit, it puts minuses on these. So just like I could on if something was on my main screen, if it has a minus there, I just touch it and it goes away. You can remove it from the screen. And then when I get all the way to the bottom, it says customize. That little word customize. And I'm just going to touch down on that little caret on the right hand side. And it now shows me all the other apps that have an icon, I mean a widget that I can put into that today screen. So it could be any variety of things. Uh, I don't use some of them very often, but I'll show you one I added just recently. I added one that does a QR code. So I can just click that and it will take me directly to the site that the QR code is taking me to. When I do it from my camera on my phone, there's one extra step in there. So with this app up, it just takes me directly there. So that is part of that today screen. Now they do have a search mode up here, which is really handy because sometimes you'll be looking for an app and you'll say, man, I just don't know where I put that app. And so you can go up here to search and you can search for an app. So if I was looking for, say, my QR code app, I can just start typing QR in there and it will bring up any app that has QR in it. Or if I was looking for one about maybe airplanes, I could start typing air. No telling what I would get, but anyway, you can search for apps this way. If you can't find your App Store app, you can start typing app and it will help find that. So if you don't have your icons arranged where you can find stuff, it's another way to get to your apps that you just know you have on there. So I'm just going to cancel out of this right now. I don't need to get into any of those apps. And to get out of it, I just scroll it away from right to left and it's gone. But you get it by going from right to left. You get rid of it by going from left to right. You get rid of it by going from right to left. So that's the today screen. Another screen, and this one is one that I use occasionally, and they've really tried to replace it with some other options, or it has replaced the other options, or other options have replaced it. And it's another search screen. And this one I get to by putting my finger somewhere on the screen and just pulling down. And you'll see you again have the same search screen we just had before, and it works the same way. You just start typing in that. If I wanted something on books, I type books in there, and it will bring up every app that has books in the title or is related to books. So that's just another search screen. And again, you get to that one, just put your finger somewhere on the main screen and pull straight down. I try to put it somewhere where there are no icons, so there's no question that I'm going to get that instead of a particular app. So that's all there really is to the search screen. So we've gone from the top left, from the left, uh, going up from the bottom of the screen. I'm going to go up from the bottom of my screen on my phone. If you have a phone that has a button, you'll get there by clicking your home button twice real quick. From the phones that do not have a home button, I'm going to put my finger down right at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to swipe up and hold it. So I'm doing this. I'm just putting my finger down here, swiping it up and holding. I'm not releasing it. And you see those little things start coming up on the left-hand side. When I release it, they pop up. So this is just a list of all of the apps that I have open on my phone right now. Right now, I only have one app open. I can have 5, 10, 15, whatever. I tend to have a lot open by the end of the day because I open them and I don't really close them. But the way you close an app is by doing this. You go up and then you just put your finger on it and push it up, and when it goes off the screen, it is closed. If you open an app and then go away from it and open another app and go away from it and open another app and go away from it, those don't close. They just go away for out of your visual sight. So we're going to go down here. I'm going to pull up, and you can see I now have these apps open. So I can switch between apps by just doing that and touching. So I know I have several apps, so I'm going up, doing my same things, go up, hold my finger to open that up, and then you see I have those apps. And I can switch between them just by doing that. I go find that, see the app that I want to get, and just touch it. When I do that, it pops right up. So that's the way to switch between apps. That's the way to close apps. One reason this is really useful is you may realize that when you have loaded a new app, it will ask things like, can I use your location? And do you want it always or only when the app is open? If you say only when the app is open, it is still open until you close it this way. So it is constantly tracking where you're at and what you're doing, sort of, until you close it. So I like to get those closed off pretty quickly. It not only makes me feel a little more secure, but it keeps the phone from using as much power, because anytime those are doing that, they're using power and continuing to search for things. So you really don't want 20 or 30 apps open. So I'm going to close those that I have open right now. Again, if you have a button, you just click twice real fast. If you don't have a button, you can just slide up, hold your finger there, and they're there. And I'm just going to slide my finger up on the screen to get rid of them. Just put it on there and slide them up. And as they slide up, they close. So right now, if I go and try to do it now, I don't get anything. If you have no apps open, it doesn't give you anything. So that's the open app screen. And that's again what you use for closing apps. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the control screen. This is probably the most interesting and most useful of the other screens that Apple has given us. And the way I'm going to do it on my phone, which has no button, is I'm going to go up here to the top right, to the right side of my notch. Remember, I had to go to the left side to get my notification screen. Now I'm going to go to the right side and I'm going to swipe down and get it that way. So that's the way I get to it on my phone. If you have one of those phones that has a button like an iPhone 8, what you're going to do is put your finger off of the screen. You're actually below the screen next to like the power button on the right side, and you're going to sweep up. Just pull your finger up from that below the screen next to the power button up onto the screen. And when you do that, you should get the control screen that I just had. So give it a try, see if you can find that. It's very important that you have this up while we're talking. So I'm going to go through everything that's on this screen so you'll know what each of these pieces do. And I'll just start up here at the top left. And you see a little block with 4 items in it. And these are the ones that they consider the most used of all of these icons. I'm going to do another little trick with this, like you do with a lot of things with Apple. If you want to make something bigger, you can just hold your finger in the middle somewhere where it's got no icon, and it will pop up. And this gives you a description of the things that you saw, 6 things of which you saw 4 in that first option. So the first one up here in the top left is airplane mode. And that's just what it says. If you get on an airplane, they say turn off your phone. All you have to do is open your control screen, touch it, put it in airplane mode, and it will shut off all of your external antennas and radio frequency output from the phone. It's a really handy thing to do. You don't have to turn off your phone and put it away. You can just put it in airplane mode. You can continue to play a game or read a book or listen to a book, whatever you're doing, and and you are perfectly safe in doing that. I'm not going to test it right now because if I do, it will turn off the output to my screen and you'll lose my picture and I'll have to go through a long process to get it back. So I'm just going to tell you, if you try it on yours, that will change color and all the other icons on that screen will lose their color and that will be the only one lit up. That just means that all of them are off. If you have one that's off, it will not, I think it will not come back on when you turn it back on. But if you try that a couple times, you'll see what's changing color as we go through it. So that's the airplane mode. The cellular data, if you touch that, it will simply tell the phone, do not use any cellular data to contact the internet. So if you're not in Wi-Fi range, you're not going to be able to get your email or to surf the web or to do a GPS mapping program. They're just not going to be there because you've shut off the source, the internet, for them. So turn it off if you need to, but understand what's going to happen. If you had this was very important back in the days when most people had very limited cellular data plans and they would need to turn them off to make sure they didn't have a big overrun and get charged extra. But so many people have unlimited plans or very large limits. It's really not as important as it used to be, but that's what that one is for. The next one, the Wi-Fi, is just what it says. That will turn on and off Wi-Fi. So if you are somewhere and you decide you don't want to have Wi-Fi on, you can touch that. It will go off. You will no longer have Wi-Fi on your phone. It will be strictly using cellular data to do any kind of exchange. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of that in just a second. Bluetooth, same thing. I mentioned in another segment that if you are using a GPS mapping program like Google Maps or iPhone Maps, that those typically talk through your phone and to you. But if you are connected with your car through Bluetooth, some of the cars, especially like mine, they just cut off that sound. So what happens is you can look down at your phone and it's showing where to go, but you're not hearing the voice. And that is usually because your connection with the phone means that the phone is trying to put the audio out through their speakers, and a lot of those systems just don't let you do that easily. You can usually find a setting that'll let you do it, but it can be time consuming. And most of us don't want to fool with that. So the easiest thing is just pull down your control screen, turn Bluetooth off. It will break the connection with the car, which means you won't be able to get phone calls, but at least your mapping program will be able to talk to you. So that's what Bluetooth, and of course, Bluetooth is also what you use if you have any of the wireless earpieces or speakers, or I have a clicker that's used to take photos with. It will run the shutter on my phone, a remote clicker. Again, those are Bluetooth connections, and so you need to have it turned on to do that. You also need to have it turned on if you're going to do Airdrop, which is something else we'll talk about in another segment, or we'll talk about a little later, actually, right here. The next one is Airdrop. Airdrop is a system where you can send stuff immediately and directly to any iPhone that was within range of you. And that range is really your Bluetooth range, which is probably 50 feet. So I'm going to just touch this icon because I want to show you what happens when I touch this icon. Instead of just going dark, It gives me a set of choices. I can have it receiving off, I can have it contacts only, and I can have it everyone. If I have it in receiving off, obviously I cannot get any airdrops. If I have contacts only, that means the only people I can airdrop to and have see me are my contacts. If I go to everyone, that means anybody with an iPhone in the vicinity can see that I am trying to send something. I can see them and I can send to them. Uh, and when I first tried this, when I first discovered AirDrop several years ago, I put it on everyone thinking, hey, this is really great. I'll just be able to airdrop something, a contact or whatever, to somebody standing right next to me. And I didn't necessarily know how this worked. So I put it on everyone, and I was teaching a class, and I was going to show them how to airdrop a photo to each other. So I put it on everyone. I brought up my photo. I did an airdrop of that photo. Just started clicking all of the ones that I could send it to, and most of them just said iPhone. They didn't say the name of the person. So now you know why I wanted you, if you watched the segment I had on basics about why you need a name on your iPhone so I know who you are. So, at any rate, I started clicking them all, and I was maybe 30 feet from people who were exercising in our gym instead of attending my class. And I started getting back notes like, huh? Why are you doing this? Who is this? What are you sending me? So you do have to be careful about that if you have it on everyone. You also, they may send to you. I know I was in Walmart and I was getting airdrops from some guy trying to send them to his girlfriend in the store, probably. Just nothing bad, but he wasn't sending pictures. He was just showing of himself. He was showing pictures of something he was trying to buy, I think. But anyway, that's the difference. So I generally leave it on contacts only, and I will put it on everyone for purposes of this class. And you change it just, of course, like you do on most things, by just touching the screen right there. I touch it and it's now everyone. You can see it now. It says airdrop everyone. And we'll try a little airdrop in just a minute when we get done with this. Personal hotspot is something else you can turn on. If I turn on the personal hotspot, I have to turn off Wi-Fi. It will use my own cellular data to connect with, not the Wi-Fi data. So it is something you can do. I have used this like in a hotel quite a bit if I'm traveling and I have a laptop with me, rather than use the hotel's semi-secure system or unsecured system for doing my email. I will go ahead and use a personal hotspot, connect through my phone, and use my own cellular data so my connection is direct that way. And that's particularly true if I'm doing anything financial or that I want to keep secure at all, because you just don't know who else may be able to access things using that common open Wi-Fi network. So that's what her personal hotspot. If I touch that, it will turn it on. It'll make it discoverable, and that means that when somebody tries to find a Wi-Fi system that they can log on to, it will see Al's iPhone in my case. So I'm going to turn it off again so it's not discoverable. They can't actually sign on to my system. So that's what those icons are. I'm going to reduce it back to the 4 that we had there before. So now we're back to just those little 4, and they don't tell you what they are. Just remember, you can always double check what they are by making it big. Just put your finger somewhere. I usually put it right in the middle, hold it down, and it'll pop up. The next one over says not playing right now, and that will give you a way of starting and stopping music or books. If I'm listening to an audio book, that will show up there, and I can use that to control the audio book without having to go into the program itself. So just another way of doing it, but for music, it's pretty easy to use. This one here is a lock screen icon. And what that does, it locks your screen when you turn it on like that. It now means that my phone will no longer change the way things are displayed when I turn my phone from the portrait mode to the landscape mode. It will not change. It will stay locked in the portrait mode. It doesn't lock in the landscape mode. It just locks in the portrait mode. That can be really handy if you're trying to read something that somebody sent to you and it's in the wrong direction, and every time you turn it, it changes. If you just lock your phone into the portrait mode, that means the document will stay locked in that position as well, and you can turn the phone around and read it. So I'm going to turn that off again. I don't leave it locked. My wife prefers to leave it locked. This next one is the Airdrop, is the screen sharing operation. And that's what I'm doing now. I am sharing my phone screen with you using something, a program called Let's View. And I just touch that and it lets me do that. If I'm trying to project something to a screen using an Apple TV, which is what I do when I'm teaching an in-person class, then this is the same place I click to touch on to get to that AirPlay connection. So that is allowing me to share my screen. Just below that is something called Focus. This is fairly new to Apple. I'm going to touch it so you can see what it looks like. Again, when I touch it, it comes up with a whole series of items. It has do not disturb, it has personal, work, sleep, driving. These are ones that I have, some of these are ones that I've added. I think do not disturb and driving and maybe sleep are ones that come with it. But you can add new focuses if you want to. The do not disturb is really a do not disturb. That if you click on that, touch that, it means you're not going to get any rings, any sounds, anything at all. It's really handy if you're going to a movie, you can just turn it off. You will still receive emails and text messages and phone calls. You just won't hear any rings or be buzzed or whatever. It's a really do not disturb. So putting that on will cut off those rings for you. If you have leave them in the default, you'll see the ones that come up saying if you're trying to talk on the phone, it may say, are you driving? Or if you're trying to send a message, it will ask if you're driving, and it's trying to help you out. But you can set these up so that they do different things for you. If I touch the little three dots here, it will allow me to do personal for 1 hour until this evening or until I leave this location. So I might use that if I was in church maybe or something like that. I just don't want it to ring for an hour or whatever it is. And I can do specific settings. When I do the settings on this, it allows me to set it up so that some people and some apps can contact me. So unlike Do Not Disturb, which cuts off everything, this allows me to select the people and the apps that I will take calls from when I am in this mode. Likewise, I have to go back to this now because I got out of it. When I go back to the focus again, I can turn it off, turn off so you don't see all those. But I can set up different criteria, different people that I will let contact me when I'm at work. Can set up with sleep, and I can do the same thing. I can have different people that I would allow to contact me when I am in sleep mode. So I'll let my bank call me to tell me they've gotten a check that's going to exceed some limit, for example, and I could have my son, my daughter-in-law, my wife wake me up, but nobody else gets to get through to me. So that's the way those work. Those focuses just allow you, and I think in their view, it's you can focus on whatever you're doing, and you can change the criteria that you're using for each of those things. That can be very helpful to you. So that's what the focus is about. The next icon is the screen brightness, and you can't see that. It won't change on that screen, but if you look at what my phone looks like in my hand, you can see screens are hard to read if they are real bright. So I have it pretty dim, and you can see it on my camera. If I get it really bright, you can't see it. So I am just sliding this down, and you see the brightness on my screen change. It just doesn't change what's projected out there. I just tap my screen anywhere to get out of that mode, put it back where I had it. The next one is the volume button, and that I can't do much with. I'm connected through this device right now, and so it thinks it's giving me a volume, but this is a volume control that you can use just like you do the buttons on the side of your phone. At the bottom of the screen, I have a number of different icons, and some of these are very simple. If you've got this up, I want you to just find one of them, the one with the little flashlight in it, and touch it. And now you see, I have a flashlight on. Everybody wave their flashlight. Okay, you just go to your next rock concert and you know how to turn on your phone and wave it around with everybody else. So I'm going to turn it off. I'm just going to touch that icon again and it goes off. The next one is a timer. Just takes you to the timer app. The next one looks like a calculator. It'll take you to calculator. The one on the right is a phone. This is the magnifying glass. When I change that, it lets me use it as a magnifying glass real quick, and I can change the strength of magnification by using that to zoom in and out on stuff. Really a handy thing if you're in a restaurant and can't see the menu. You can turn on the light and you can do a zoom. So you've got some options there. Okay, so that's magnifier. This one is just that allows you to change your text size. I have it 110%. I don't have a standard text size of 100%. I use a little larger than that. It's as you can see, it's for home screen only or all apps, and I have it on all apps. And the last one, heck, I don't even remember what it is. Screen recording. Okay. So I could record my screen, except I can't do that when I am in AirPlay. So that's some of them. You can actually change these at the bottom. You can customize these. That's why some of you probably do not have the same ones that I'm showing down here. It says, let's see, what does it say? Open Home. If you have the Home app, you can also add scenes, and I don't know if you understand all those, but you can add scenes from your home thing. You can add additional programs to this by going to settings. So I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to go down a little bit to control center, touch the little caret on there, and you can see which apps I have. I have added these little things to my bottom of my screen, so I have ready access to them, and I could add all of these other shortcuts to that if I want. Accessibility, alarm, and so forth. So those are that is what Control Center is all about. It is probably the handiest of all of those screens that we've talked about so far. So just keep it in mind, it's another option you have. Again, access by a phone with no button. You top right of your screen and pull down. If you have a button, you put your finger down to the right side of the button below the screen and pull up, and it should appear. Okay, one more screen, that I want to talk about. And then again, this again is one that is fairly new to Apple. I don't remember when maybe right when they added iOS 15, it may have been 14. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the last of my main screens, and then I'm going to go one past it. And when I do that, I have the app library screen. The app library screen just groups your apps, and it's all of your apps. Every app you have is somewhere in here. And what they do is they put them in by category. If you have just 4 that they put in that category, then you just see 4 of those there. I think on all of mine I have more than 4, except that first one, which is their suggestions. If I want to see what else they have in something like social, and it has this little block of 4, what I do is touch that little block of 4, just tap it, and that will then bring up all of the apps that they have included in that group. I close that just by tapping somewhere else. So if I go down here and it says shopping and food. So I have my Amazon, my Walmart, my Tom Thumb. I have a lot of shopping apps. So I can just touch that, and there are all of my shopping related apps in one place. So they did that to make it easier for you to find things. People do tend to lose them. They get buried. And it used to be that if you deleted something from your main screen, it was gone. There was no way to hold it somewhere else. This is sort of a placeholder. You don't have to have the app on your screens in order to have the app on your phone. It can be over here. It's hidden. It's gone from sight, and you just go and get it when you need it. And that lets you concentrate on having the ones you use frequently, easily accessible on your front page. So those are the other screens. We've talked about the notification screen, the today screen. So notifications pull down from the top anywhere if you have a phone with a button, or top left if you have a phone without a button. The today screen is off to the left of your first screen. Remember that? Off to the left of your first screen. We talked about the uh, search screen, which was put your finger on a dot somewhere and where there is no dot and pull down, and that's a search screen right from the middle of your phone screen. The close app screen, which in a phone with no button, you can swipe up and hold from the bottom and it will pull it up. If you have a phone with a button, you click the button twice and you get to the control screen. You have the control screen, and then we have the open apps, the all apps screen, the app library screen, which is at the far right. So I hope you have a little better understanding of all these many screens that Apple has given us to work with and try and figure out. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and if it has, come back, take a look at some of the other videos. Thanks.